It used to be hard to find the exact auto parts you needed, and that meant spending a lot of time at swap meets. It's a different game now when you can order exactly what you need from eBay Motors. They have 122 million parts, so you can always find the right fitment. Spend less time searching and more time building with the eBay Motors app or visit ebaymotors.com. Let's ride.
Holidays are here, and so is fashionable fitness. Gift yourself a Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 3 5G, a phone that folds in half to literally stand on its own. Pair it with the Galaxy Watch 4 for ultimate wellness and wow factor. Check health stats, flex personal records. Over 90 activities can be tracked, like biking, swimming, golfing, and more. Invest in yourself with tech made to crush goals. Holidays open up with Galaxy. Shop it all at Samsung.com. 5G connection and availability may vary. Check with carrier. Products sold separately.
Hey everyone, this is the Almost World Podcast. Bringing to you mind-blowing interviews with guests from all over the world. So settle down, relax, and enjoy the show. Oh yeah, by the way, if you like the podcast, please support Elmo's World Podcast on Patreon. Your support is what helps the podcast improve more and more. 3. Welcome to Elmo's World Podcast. I am your host for the day again, and I have my friend Roy Sidi here. Sir, can you introduce yourself and tell us about what you're all about, and where you are from, and who you are?
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, I want to thank you for this opportunity. I was glad to do this discussion and interview. So my name is Sidi Roi, and I'm originally from Israel. I now living between Israel and Europe, mainly in Europe. Because of my job. I am a former Jew. I don't know if it's a correct phrase, because in Israel you cannot be not Jew. If you're born Jew, you die Jew. But I don't practice Judaism at all. So
okay.
So I don't know. When I introduce myself, I'm ex-Jew. So this is what the definition of it. We spoke earlier about religion or belief. I think it would be very correct to say that I'm an ex-Jew. Today, I'm the president of the Eureka Community. It's a global community. We have over almost 36 communities around the globe. Our purpose is to build democratic communities in order to influence the countries they are in it, in order to change the system from inside, not with wars or something like this, not with power, only with education. It's mostly in the third, I think it's the phrase, third countries.
Third world countries?
It's not on the not developed countries, mainly, not on the West.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is my main project today.
Okay. I would then ask you about why you consider yourself an ex-Jew. In my interpretation, it would be something like you don't practice or believe in Judaism as a religion. And so that's why you would say you call yourself an ex-Jew. But of course, you are from Israel, right? So, yeah. Would that be the...
Well, these topics is very, very fragile or sensitive in Israel.
Okay.
Because before the establishment of a country of Israel as a state, the Zionist movement tried to break between Judaism as a religion, as Judaism as a nationality. Okay, so when the state of Israel was established, they take Judaism as a nationality, and we have a lot of bugs, and bugs is the correct word. They didn't think it's all the way. Okay, so now in Israel, you don't have to practice Judaism to be a Jew. Okay, the nationality of Israel is Judaism. It's a very weird way of thinking, because if you not practice Judaism at all, I don't know what Jewish about me. But in my ID, I consider as a Jew.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. So in terms of religion, though, are you Christian, atheist? Which would you identify as, or just non-religious? I would say, is that something that you would call
I will
yourself?
tell you the truth.
Mm-hmm.
I was being in a very long process. I was a very Orthodox Jew most of my life.
Mm-hmm.
6 years ago, and again, it wasn't mystical. I started to learn in the university, and I discovered that the narrative, the Jewish Orthodox narrative, doesn't go with the same like reality.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, the Jewish Orthodox narrative, when it's breakdown, even my Zionist narrative breakdown, and about all the Israeli-Arab conflict. So I understand that the Jewish or practice Judaism. So I for a year and so, I became an atheist because I didn't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
It was very like for me to lose my faith. It was very hard, because it was all my world was the Jewish life and the Jewish community.
Mm-hmm.
But once it was over and I woke up, and this is the metaphor that I always use. It's like waking up from a dream. Once you understand the narrative you lived in is not correct, it's like wake up and discover a new world and trying to understand this new world. So I was, for a very short period of time, as an atheist. I was defined myself as atheist, and this is where I started to be an activist in the atheist world. If you know the organization called Atheist Republic,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
do you know
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. I'm familiar.
Okay, so I joined them, and I started to promote myself in this organization in order to be part of. I very wanted to help everyone to wake up from this dream of religion. And then I discovered that atheism it's not very different from religion.
Mm-hmm.
So it was my next breakdown of reality. And today, I don't know if in terms of God, okay, I don't know if he is there or not. So I maybe say that I'm agnostic on,
Okay.
but I find the new God. I find the law. And this is what we're trying to promote. Once we have laws in our society,
Mm-hmm.
this is the new God. Like the book of law is the holy book. And I think it needs to be in every democratic society to understand that laws needs to be respected.
Can you define
And breaking the law,
holy? Can you define the holy book as the law, and that can you clarify what you mean by the holy book?
yeah. By the way, I don't want to promote my book, but in the few weeks ahead, it's going to. I don't know what is the correct phrase. Like my new book called "The God Is Law," is going to be out. So I explained it very detailed. So I try to summarize this. But I mean that once a group of people decided on how to live together, it's instantly became holy. Okay, and by the way, it doesn't mean that I say that Islam is not right or Judaism is not right. Not in the reality sense. In the society sense. Once a group of people say we are Muslims and we want to live by this book, I say, okay, it's more than okay, it's legit, and I must respect them, okay, because as a group of people, okay, they decided to obey those laws. So in my terms, once there is agreement between people, this is become automatically as holy, okay? And God, everyone will define it however you want. But I think it's the minimum to live together as a society.
Interesting. Okay. So, drawing from that, you're an agnostic, but when you say from a sociological perspective, why should the agreement of a collective, overwhelm an individual's rights, or let's say what desire or desired event? Why should the agreement of the collective overwhelm all individual rights?
First of all, it's a great question. Okay, I will try to describe it in that way. In criminology, there is a theory. Okay, there is a question first that say, what is the power of the authorities? Okay, everyone that first year learning criminology or law or sociology, this is the main question. From where the authorities have their power? Okay, so one of the theory was that every person, like we agree in the Western world, that every person burn free, right? When we burn, we are free.
Yeah.
But this is only when you are alone. In the moment you want to live with another person, okay, you give up on part of this freedom. So if the collective of persons want to live together, all these small parts of freedom, this is the power of the authorities. Okay, so in my opinion, if you are living in a community or in a state, or it doesn't matter which part of or not part, I forgot the word, but it doesn't matter where you live, you need to obey the law that you are living it. I will give you an example how I get it, this idea. When I was in Atheist Republic, my first job was to help refugees, okay, that they ran out from home because they were atheist, and Muslim doesn't very very easy with atheists, and they wanted to immigrate. Okay, they want to go out and leave the country, and they've done a very, in my opinion, very stupid things in order to prove they are atheists, like burning the Quran or mocking the Prophet Muhammad. And I find it very disturbing because you are living in a community, you're living in a society that respects Prophet Muhammad or respect some, doesn't matter which prophet, okay? So in my opinion, you must obey the rule. If you don't want to live in this rule, you can immigrate. And this is I'm pro. And this is why I trying to educate, even in Europe, people that spoke with us to say immigration is not a bad idea. Immigration, that one person say, if I don't want to obey those rules, I can immigrate to country that I can relate, empathize, or understand. So for your question is, when a person, okay, individual doesn't feel belong to the collective anymore, he can freely move and try his luck in another place, or if it's a democratic country, you can try to work it out, to explain and try to influence and maybe run for an office and trying to persuade his opinion on the collective. But in any way, I don't see breaking the law is an answer in any way. I don't speak about dictatorships, only in democratic, semi-democratic countries.
Well,
I
that
hope
was
it was
yeah.
answered your question.
Okay, so if I could repeat all that, it's simply that when you're an individual, you want to live with, or at least within a society, you have to give up some of these rights. And in order these rights which are provide the way empower the authorities to control you, or prevent you from doing harm to others, right? So in a way, some sort
No,
of.
not you don't give up on rights, because every country have a different rights.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, check in for example, in Israel, you have the right for free medical care. In the US, it's like no. Okay, so not the right. Once you're living in society, automatically, like it's logically to say that you're giving up on some of your freedom. You're not free anymore. You're living. You need to live with another person, like in when like you getting married, right? If you're
Yeah,
getting
no,
married, you
okay. I
need
might
to
have used the
respect.
wrong word, like not rights, but freedom. Okay, you have to give up some of your freedom in order to live within society. And right, and when you break the law, that's why the authorities take away most of your freedom and put you in a jail or prison, incarcerate you.
This is
Uh,
the extreme, the extreme. Of course, if you break
yeah,
the law, no,
yeah.
most of the people doesn't break the law.
Yeah, but in a way, when you live in a society, your freedom is already limited, right? Compared to what you could do when you're all alone or isolated. Okay, okay. So,
Correct. Yes,
mhm.
and this is why I don't understand. I'm sorry if I interrupt you, because I'm trying to like sharpen this idea to people maybe understand more. This is why I'm not accepting what's happening in the US today, because in the US there is distortion of thought that for example, the public area, it's the most place that you can be free, but in our logical, it's the opposite. Once you get out of your home, your freedom is even less than that. In your own home, you can do whatever you want. You can eat pork if you're Muslim. You can not fast if you're a Jew, or I don't know. You can do whatever you want in your own home. But once you are in the public area, and we can see it in the Corona crisis, okay, with the mask, once you're in the public area, your freedom even is more, it's less than when it's in your home. You need to respect the public area. You cannot do whatever you want in the public area. And this is distortion that I see in the US because of the rights, and people doesn't understand what it means to live in society.
Hmm. So why do you think there are riots in the U.S. though?
Well, the riots, it doesn't apply to the law. It's apply for other subjects like political subjects, and but if I'm trying to see how I can connect it, and I think that I can do it. But for example, you know what? Let's take the riots. Again, riots. It's when not propaganda. What is the name of? Just a second. Sorry for my bad
Yeah,
English.
riots,
Um,
or what do you mean by the
just
synonym of riots?
I will ask Google. Sorry.
Yeah.
Um, Demonstration. Once, for example, people start with demonstration, right? They protest. Okay, they protest against something, and this is great. This is our way as a minority or whatever to say to the government or say to the public, we think otherwise. Riots is when a protest or demonstration go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's take this protesters. Okay, once they protest and do it quietly, and I don't mean quietly without noise. I mean inside the law. Okay, doesn't break anything, doesn't go out on and rage. It's great, and this is the way to change. But when a person started, or a group of people starting to say, you know what? I don't care what the law say, and I can burn the stores, looted them, and hurt the police. I don't know. And the police in the other side, even the police needs to know again what is the right of the person and what is the freedom. the law and what is okay and what it's not. And I think people, even the Western world, doesn't have a very democratic education to understand how the law work, how society work, and this is why the US is like getting out of control, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what you're saying is that America is sort of doesn't get what it means to be a good society, which is that you don't break the law and do riots, but you just simply protest and make demonstrations to present your point. Is that what you're saying?
Again, in the very general idea, yes, of course, we need to understand that this theory of how the work and how the law work and how society needs to work, we cannot do it without a context of political context, a cultural context. The U.S. today, in my opinion, and again, I'm not a resident of the U.S. and I don't vote for the U.S. Government. But in my opinion, because I see what happened there, and I have a lot of friends and supporters in the US, and I very care of what's happening there, that I think they have a very like a crisis, ideology a crisis, and even in the sense of how society needs to be work. For example, you can see it. I don't want to mention names of the candidates, but if you see in the television the people that against the restriction of the the COVID-19, okay, in their opinion, it's mean that they can do whatever they want, okay. Once they are in the free air, they can do whatever they want. No one can tell them what to do, and I think this is a distortion of how things needs to be work, okay. There is the law, every country needs to give boundaries to the citizens, okay. If you want to change, you can change it within the system, not by breaking the system, because it's a very slide, I don't know what is the correct phrase, but it's very dangerous for our world to go this way.
Yeah. Okay. In a way, so you're just looking at it objectively and measuring whether or not the riots are a practical way for someone to demonstrate what they want, to show that and how to fix the system is. And what you're saying is that it's just not, it just doesn't work well if you always break the system, but it's better and much more, I guess, better for society if you just fix it within the system. It's what you're saying.
Yeah, even if you take the revolution of the major, like the French Revolution, or even the American Revolution when they was split from the UK. Once, if you, for example, okay, if we speak in terms of individuals and collectives, okay, if you have a collective of person, like the majority think that way, and you have individual that think another way, it can influence on this collective to be a majority. Once an idea have a majority of people that think the same, so the system is automatically changed. Okay, this is the beauty of democracy. Without war, without trying to make it military. And again, it's a very long process. It doesn't happen in a night. And believe me, I know, okay? I, as an Israeli that have communities in Iran, in Pakistan, in Bangladesh, states that me as an Israeli, I can never travel there. I can never visit them, okay? So I understand how slowly the process is. But I know that those people, for example, in my community, know they will never they put themselves in danger, okay? Because now they don't want to be Muslim, so they will burn the Quran, okay? There is a lot of YouTubers that are showing in the YouTube that they burning the Quran as a act of revolution. But it's dangerous. It's against the law. It's putting you in a jail or even worse. So who is going to help you then? So it's maybe a slow process to change the system. Maybe, by the way, and I have friends in the US that say that maybe the US is going to break down, for red countries and blue countries. I don't know, but this is a good solution too. Okay, you don't have to force everyone to live in the same ideology. You can break, you can split, you can, I don't know, you can do everything you want, but you need to save life and you need to be civilized. And I think I don't see an other way.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. So when in not in defense of those who rioted though, I think that coming from their own moral system, they felt that the government itself like I guess it was the riots, if we're talking about the Black Lives Matter movement, it was drawn from a conclusion that the government itself, the police system itself was uh evil, not evil, but they viewed it as that it was corrupted. And so that's why from their moral system they felt it right to riot. And so can I ask you though, um what they are citizens of their country, and if they felt that the law was doing them wrong, was systemically racist, would you say that it is wrong for them to demonstrate it, in the way that they did it in
In
riot?
the violence, in the
Yeah,
violence way.
yeah.
Again, my theory, it's like apply everywhere. For
Okay.
example, you gave it a good example because, by the way, I have seven communities in Africa alone. Okay, my mother of my children is African, so I very pro Black Lives Matter. But, and this is what I'm telling to my friends in the US. Yes, the system is corrupt. The system is broke. I don't, me as an Israeli, I don't understand the democratic system in the US. But once you getting violence and starting do action that regardless to the demonstration or the protest idea, if you stole from a store, how it's help your argument? What is the connection between stealing products from a private person that was accidentally on your way between to say to the government you are corrupted? If it was, for example, I'm giving an example, not an ideas. For example, let's say in the again Washington D.C. it's different because it's its own like small country. But let's say that in Washington, all the Black Lives Matters protesters will come and get the Senate or the Congress. I don't know which one is in the DC. Okay, so let's say they conquer it. So I will say, you know what? They are the majority. I don't know. Okay, they may split from the U.S. and do like in their own country. Maybe it will be okay. Okay, not from the start, but as a looking back. Okay, because they are getting the power, and they needs to be the majority. I will prefer it to be by voting and by democracy, but if they will conquer something, I will maybe say that they are like represent the majority, although I against violence. I think it's once you hurt another person, you are outside of society.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Well, um, I guess that if you establish this, no, this system by which that if you want to change the government, if you want to change the system, you have to change it within the system and not break the system. If that's the effective approach that you're proposing, so you being the president of the Eureka community, what projects, what policies are you guys pushing, or simply that you're trying to educate and push this kind of thought process? What do you guys what are you guys doing?
Okay, we have a lot of projects from schools and orphanage houses and safe houses for those who cannot be silent or get in trouble on their non-believing or believing system. And this is one part, like changing from the inside of the country. I can, you know, it's very dangerous for some of my communities to be known, and this is why I don't have representation, a lot of represent in the social media, because again, I cannot put my people in the front because there are still people that are trying to hurt them. A few weeks ago, I had what is the correct, like a rage in one of the communities in Tunisia. Okay, because religious people discovered that they are an atheist group, and they attacked them. And one of my deputies was even injured and taken to the hospital. So a lot of my activities going under the ground, under like the radar. But I can give you a good example. What, like in Pakistan, okay, for example, my community in Pakistan, my people in Pakistan's running for offices, like they getting together, you know, even economically, you have a little, I have a little, but together we have something, okay. So our way, I will admit, is socialist way, okay, because we don't have a lot of money. We are doing everything by our own. We don't have donors. So those people, we have above 3,000 people in Pakistan, and they gather together and put 3 or 4 people in offices, and from inside they changing. And I see it every day, how the system change and how they live peacefully in Pakistan. And I can say it even in Egypt and even in Kenya, and it's work. Okay, and this is from the community side. What we're doing in Europe is mainly not educate, like there's another way to education. I will tell you, just a second, sorry. Explanation work, okay. We explain our what are we doing. By the way, the weird thing that is the left parties in Europe doesn't like us. And you can try why the left doesn't like us.
Well, why?
Because they say we are colonized Africa again.
I see.
Mainly what we are doing, we're putting Western ideas in Africa again. But I think the main difference between me and the colonized area, that I don't do it on force. Okay, for example, if we take, let's take Nigeria, for example, right? When people, a person in Nigeria, see my community there, they see what we are providing for our community. By the way, it's housing, free education, food, clothes, and medical care. Okay, this is what we're providing. So once you see as outsider, like there's a group of people that's living nice, living good, they have a good life, they have, like, they're not rich, but you know, they are good with what they have. He starting to research, to explore and ask, who are you, what you believe in, what you not believe in. And again, you could be religion. By the way, in our communities, you can be religion, but religion, it's a very personal thing. Okay, in the public area, in the public sphere, you are not allowed to force religious idea. Only democratic values or something. We have a separation between, let's say, state and religion. So I can, in my email, okay, in the email of the community, I got more than 200 and something application from all around the globes of people who want to join our community. Because once you see something is working and it's good, people start to ask questions. And this is how we change. More people, more good we can do to the world.
Interesting. Wow. Okay, but I want to ask you, but why do these people want to join your community? Is it because that they want not West, I wouldn't call it Western values, but they want the real democratic values to be applied in their system. When in the it's I wouldn't say secularization, but that I think that's sort of what you are pushing. You know, the a separation of religion with government, but with proper political systems and checks and balances and processes like voting. What would you is that what you're would you say that that's what you're the ideals that you're pushing?
I will be a liar if I say yes. Okay, I don't believe that people join our community only because they love democracy. I don't think it's true.
Okay.
Okay, there are ideology people that say yes, we like these ideas, we want to promote. Yes, we have, and this is, by the way, our chairmen of the community. This is the parliament members of the communities, and those people are in the front of the communities. But the majority want one thing: good life. This
Mm-hmm.
is why people immigrate. This is why people becoming illegal immigrants. Okay, because they want good life.
Yeah.
They want to something to eat. They have a roof under on top of them. They want a decent life, and I think that all countries can provide a decent life for each and every citizen.
Yeah.
I have a lot of connection in governments, mainly in Europe, but as a personal conversation, one of the politicians told me, it's easy for you. You don't have millions of people. I told him it doesn't matter if I have millions or I have thousands. Okay, because by the way, I don't have a lot of budget. The government does have a lot of budgets. So I told him that in my opinion, it's a way of thinking. Once your citizens have a good life, a decent life, if they have education, food, a future, they won't be criminals. Okay, again, there are always a small percentage of crime, but you can reduce crime by giving people the minimum way of a life, and this is what we are doing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Wow. Okay. You told me earlier that some of your members are running in political positions, right, in their own governments. So, would you say that the platform that they are pushing is also the same as what the Eureka community is pushing? That these, but basically just the ways on how to provide a better life for every citizen of a country. Is that like the goal in mind, or
I i will try to answer this question by maybe describing our way of governing. Okay,
okay, okay.
uh, we are like a federation, mainly because we are not in the same area. Okay, but in our constitution, let's say, there is the local government, and
Mm-hmm.
there is the global community. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
for example,
Mm-hmm.
I the president of the global community, and the global community doesn't say to the local community how to run their life. I think we found the balance between the desire to promote values, but not to erase identities. By the way, we have in Indonesia, another country that Israel doesn't have a diplomatic relations. In Indonesia, the Indonesian people still Indonesian. They're not trying to be British or the American. They're still Indonesian or Ugandan, but they are all sharing not the same values, but the spirit of the values of the Eureka communities. As a global community, we are promoting the ideology, and the local community running the real life. And we are not interfere how they needs to be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow, that's a really a good idea and the concept where when you said that you found the balance between identity and pushing these values, and so in a way, but for the global community, what specifically are the values said in the Constitution? What are these platforms? I would say mission goals.
Our in Hebrew, it's easier. There is a very special sign for this, but in English, we are providing those five things that I mentioned before: housing, clothes, education, medical, and food. Okay, as we are not forcing, but we are obligate every community that joining us. This is the basic. Like without it, you cannot open a community there. Okay, as a value, we are putting the system. Okay, I think the system is a very important value, how the thing needs to be work. For example, every one of our community member have the right to protest or to say whatever they want. But there is a lot of process. I don't get inside the low resolution, but they are all know that once the decision being made, it needs to be respected by everyone, even if you're not respected. By the way, in the last subject, I must say, because it's very important to understand. For example, in Pakistan, those who run for offices will always promote the benefits of the Pakistan country. Okay, it's very needs to be said. Our people very like my people very like their own countries. They will never betray their country, and they always promote the benefits of the country, but in their own eyes. Okay, by the values of the Eureka community, it's mean putting democracy first, putting the system to educate people how the law work. And I didn't see, okay, for now, people that say to me, you know what, it doesn't make any sense. Okay, you're saying doesn't make any sense. People starting to appreciate this way of thinking because it's make life very easier. If I have one more, a few like a few seconds, I want to give an example. You remember the videos of the police and the murders of the police in the U.S.
Yeah.
That people that are every video of that, how it start, people resist, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think, again, in their own eye, I truly believe they thought that this is their right to resist or trying to disobey a lawful order from a police officer, but the law say otherwise. And I think it's the lack of education to say to people, yes, you have rights. No one is going to take it from you. Okay, again, there's a difference between the US and Pakistan and Bangladesh, okay? But in ideal world, every country giving rights to their citizens. But if they will educate them how the system work, like being a mini lawyer, I think most of these murders, and calling it murders because the officer could be doing otherwise, acting other way, and not kill people. But I don't judge anyone. I didn't been there. But once you educate people, it will be reduced this number of people dying on vain.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I guess the most of it are resisting arrest, and when you resist arrest, right, you invite more violence from the police, and once it
Again,
reaches
I
the
will
peak.
not say violence from the police because I against violence, but I will explain it logically. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
you and the police officer are not judges. You as an example, of course, not you personally. Once you meet a police officer, never disobey police. Never.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you, even if you take you to the station and you lost 3 or 4 hours from your life. Never disobey a police. It doesn't matter if you're black or white. I know black people say to their kids, children the same way, same thing, but I don't say it from the same point of view. I say it from the law point of view. It's mean that, for example, the officer said something, and you said something. In democratic society, where is the place that you are figuring out what is the correct things to do? The court, right?
Yeah.
Now you're in the street. So in the street, you are not a lawyer, he is not a lawyer. And if you are a lawyer, you're not a judge. Only judge can judge. Okay? So you need to obey the officer, because once you're trying to argue with him, it doesn't make any sense. He's not a judge. He doesn't know what to do. In his point of view, you break or not break a law, and so it will take you for or to take you for a judge or a court, or doesn't matter, or to the station, figure it out and release you. I don't know. Again, there is very small percentage of false accused. There is something that it's real, but as education system, we need to understand that in the street, no one is a judge. You have problem with someone, go to the court. Don't fist, don't shoot, don't argue, don't yell, don't go fight. You have argue, only go to the court. And this is what we're trying to educate everywhere. Violence is not an answer, even for the police, by the way. If you have an argument with a citizen, call other police, don't shoot, don't make violence. You can arrest by violence way, because if someone really, really resists, then it's a correct way to get someone in custody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I wanted to also discuss with you the topic of immigration, right? You said that many communities or members join your communities because they just want a good life, right? So, in that sense, we also discussed why people that if you don't like the current collective that you're in, then you should move into some place that you would prefer. So but also, what do you say about illegal immigration though?
Illegal immigration is the same problem as every breaking the law. Again, I know there's wars. Believe me, I'm not some white privilege that's living on Olympus that doesn't understand the life. Believe me, I was in the field. We even have a special task force that rescue people from dangerous places to safe places. So believe me, I know the field. But illegal immigration says to me, as someone that believes in this ideology, that you say to yourself, you know what, this country doesn't want me, but I go without thinking again. Okay, so you're breaking the law. You're breaking the frame of the society that you want to get inside. And this is why I promote in Europe the idea that immigration is good for the country, good for the world, because once a person doesn't feel belong to his old country, it's good to him to have a possibility to immigrate. And today, unfortunately, we can see it all over the world. There is xenophobia and racism and hating immigrants that I don't understand why. We can see President Trump saying that immigrants are the core of the problem of the world, and it's the opposite of it. So once people will start not hating the other person, it will be easier to people to say, you know what, I don't feel Israeli. I want to live in Portugal. Okay, fill an application. And again, I doing a lot of progress in the government to easiest this process. Okay, even the government, because of the pressure from the political side, very hard the process of immigration, and I'm trying to do the otherwise. It's immigration. It's great. It's the way that humankind can flourish.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I guess your community is like pro globalization, and The more globalization, the better, I guess.
No, we are not pro globalization. I will explain why, and maybe this is will make even more sense.
Okay.
Once you get into a country, you must again accept their laws, their customs, because you choose, right? You say, I don't want to be in Israeli anymore. You cannot force Israel into Europe, or it doesn't matter, Syria into Europe, or Iraq into Europe, doesn't matter. Because, for example, you can see the problem where in France. Okay, in France, the Muslim trying to force Islam into a country that doesn't. It's like it's not in their culture. So if you immigrants, and it's good to immigrate, please put your identity, your old identity in at home if you want to still remember your old country. But outside, you are French. You're French. You're not Iranian that live in French. You are French. So I don't want to erase borders. I don't want to erase identities. I only want people to change, but if they don't find themselves in the collective, they can immigrate. But if you immigrate, you choose to immigrate.
Mm-hmm.
So please accept our local custom, our local culture. Don't try it again like the Muslim in
Okay.
France.
Okay. How about if I ask you if, like, for example, if a government policy infringes on a person's rights, let's say to practice his religion or his or her religion, would you say that should that person still uh, pursue it through the system, or at least if he is pursuing within the system, can they, let's say, demonstrate, put make demonstrations and protests, to change the law and to fix it?
They can try to change the law. Again, law you can change only by majority. But and again, it's a very legitimate way of thinking to say, you know what? I'm in France for 5 years. I want to be a very religious Muslim. They don't let me. You know what? I will immigrate. I will go to Belgium. I will go to Denmark because in the EU, once you are a citizen of one country, you can live in other country. So it's very easy. Again, by
Okay,
the way, this
that's so you're saying that, okay, if France is infringing on your rights to and preventing you from from practicing your religion or your rights, then just leave, is basically what you're
again they
saying.
don't they don't I know they don't not allow you. Okay, they say in the public area you're not allowed to do this but in your own home no one will
Okay.
tell you if you
Okay,
want.
question. How about if in public schools you're not allowed to wear religious headwear, and if it's within your religion to wear these, would you say that, and they're forbidding it, would you say that you're still allowed to practice your religion because they're not allowing you to?
In my opinion, you will never break the law. I know France, it's a very complicated country because orders separate very, really
Yeah,
separation
okay. So in a
between
way,
religions.
if the law says that you're not allowed to practice your religion in a public school, then you're not allowed to practice your religion in a public school, even
You
just by
have the
wearing
right to
headwear.
try to change it if you are by the way, the Muslim will going to be majority in France in a very few years, and we will see France will change, and it's good or not bad, for example. But for now, unless the law say otherwise, you cannot do something to break the law.
Okay, but in a way, change it within the system. That's simply what you're
Always change
pursuing.
it within the system.
Okay, okay. Because I guess then that even if the government sort of infringes on your rights, but the if you are going to, let's say, riot, or do violence, or I wouldn't, even to the point of some would some individuals would even cause terrorism. That's something that we would not want and we would not desire. So if you want to change it within the system, is what you're saying.
I don't know any reasonable person that say that killing other people is
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah,
Reasonable.
yeah, 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 yeah.
By the way, you say they're right, but again, if you will think logically, right, you have right only if the government give you right. For example, if you doesn't have, if for example, the right to practice religion outside. Okay, I don't know if it's a right, but let's say for this argument, if you want this right, but the government doesn't giving you, so you don't have it. The right you have only if this country give you. Okay, in the US they don't have medical care. In Israel we have. If I go to the America, I cannot say, well, I want my free medical care. No, I'm in a different country. They don't give me this right, so I don't have this right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But if you do want to have those rights, then you change it within the system and you vote for a political party that is like inclined to your desire. But that's the only way you can do it, I guess, is what you're saying.
Correct, like
Within the
President
system.
Obama did.
Yeah.
President Obama did it, and way to go. And then President Trump tried to delete it.
Okay. Okay. Well, one last question because it's been great with a great conversation with you, sir. So basically, what would be the message of the Eureka community, or even just you, to the public? Who may be to someone who may be experiencing racism or xenophobia, or they just want to have a good life and actually see the good in this community and want to participate in it. What would you say to them?
First of all, I can call everyone that hear us and want to hear about us to personally to send us an email. I will give you an email to you can publish. So ask any question. We are on Facebook, on Twitter, and all those things. But I think what I want people to remember from this interview, this discussion, that laws are good. We need frames. We need. I understand the people that say no, we want only freedom and blah blah blah, but it doesn't apply to everyone. Okay, what make Homo sapiens good? And this is why we defeat the Homo erectus and all the other hominidin. Okay, it's that we can collaborate. We can live in society. We can live in frameworks. Okay, once we break it and anarchy will rule the world, I don't know if it will remain the same.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Well,
I know it's a lot of process to process, and I will admit that even in the Western world, there are people that will say that my ideology is very unique, but I really believe that this theory of how the law work apply everywhere in the globe. I saw it. I see it every day. Okay, my people is not getting persecuted anymore. And remember that I started with atheist people in religion countries, and now we are working hand to hand with the governments. We are working and we are giving. By the way, I pay tax everywhere. I'm not a charity. You know why I pay tax?
mm-hmm.
Tax is good. Tax is the way to me to say to the country, thank you for letting me. And every country wants tax. Once you pay them, they will protect you. So all this charity that doesn't pay tax, it's not a good way to do things. So I always pay tax in every country that I work, every work we are doing. So we want to collaborate. We want to live. We want to have a future. I don't want to lose a life in vain. This is my opinion, by the way.
Okay. Well, Mr. Roy, thank you so much for going on my show.
Thank you for this discussion. I really enjoyed it.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Yeah. So that's the end of it. Thanks for tuning in, guys. This is your host, Elmo Ador Jr. And thank you for listening in. And please subscribe. Please follow us on Facebook. Please follow this. Please. Thanks.
Gearheads know that some projects need so many parts, it feels like you need a whole storage unit just to store them. That's what eBay Motors' 122 million parts are for. Think of it as your virtual parts garage. They've always got the right fitment at the right prices. Use the eBay Motors app or visit ebaymotors.com. Let's ride.
Holidays are here, and so is fashionable fitness. Gift yourself a Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 3 5G, a phone that folds in half to literally stand on its own. Pair it with the Galaxy Watch 4 for ultimate wellness and wow factor. Check health stats, flex personal records. Over 90 activities can be tracked, like biking, swimming, golfing, and more. Invest in yourself with tech made to crush goals. Holidays open up with Galaxy. Shop it all at Samsung.com. 5G connection and availability may vary. Check with carrier. Products sold separately.